began to realize that a real important landscape technique for us Southern Californians is doing the beach. So I got a couple ideas. One is how to do waves, and we'll do a wave, and we'll do another one, which is a sunset concept. Okay, I think that'll be really fun because we got the nice bright here, sort of this cool bluish looking waves, and then the silhouette. Especially after coming off of the fashion proportions, we can draw people here, and they don't have to do a lot of details because it's a silhouette, shadows. This is the sun, right, looking into the sun. So that I thought that'd be a great challenge, and I thought this would be wonderful to do. But I thought typically and again, this is the reality here. What really is the picture, a picture of a wave breaking, and it's really kind of neat. But this is an artistic view of that similar thing, and you've got some areas that are sort of similar. You've got a dark corner here, light here. This is light, this is dark, but again, it's not purple and orange. It's a different. It's just you're bringing this artistic flair to the work. Okay, you can see a little bit of the reflection, how the blue-green turquoise sort of happens through the waves, and yet then you see it here much more pronounced. You see reflections in the water here, and here again the reflections are much more dynamic. But given the fact that this is white and should be the paper coming through, I thought this is going to be a little different technique. So I'm not going to use a brush straight up, okay? I'm going to use one of our sponges. This is a rough sponge. Okay, you could even probably use a little wad of watered up paper a little bit to kind of get the same effect. But so I'm going to paint with the brush. So a lot of the painting I want to dab on. So what I'm going to do, I've got my tray, and so the first thought is go with the light colors. So I'm going to go with this warm tan kind of color up here, and I'm going to use my sponge to kind of dab it up to here, because I really want this transition of this white areas as the surface, sort of the flare, I guess you'd call it, or all the water coming off the wave itself. So my technique is I'm going to take my tray. I'm going to put some water here in the base. I'll probably take my square brush, and in one of these, let's see, so I'm going to bring in some in fact, that might be a little too much water. I kick it out right in this little area. Okay, maybe just a little bit of water. There we go. Pick this up. I'll keep that. So we're going to take in sort of this nice orange, yellowish kind of look here. I'm going to start with that. See how this works out. And again, I'm going to use my sponge and dab it in this. Or it could be a watered up paper towel. So let's do this over here. Bring in my work, my inspiration pages off to the side. And taped it off because I want this to be a full bleed, sort of. So I'm going to take a little bit of this. So I just dab my sponge into this. And I'm just going to do this to it. See this? So this is going to give me kind of this texture here. See that? And I can bring in some more water, maybe a little bit like this, but I'm going to use the texture of my sponge to get most of this on there. In fact, I'm realizing what you should probably do, little happy accident, maybe the whole thing is to make this wet, make sure your sponge is a little bit moist. There we can be kept, there we go, that way, that works better. So the sponge is moist. I could literally even drip parts of that color on there if I want. See, because we're just doing this. And then we're going to transition sort of this into a cool, or purples, off to the other side. And be careful not to get too much of the color. So one side will be color, one side will be the sort of this yellowish color, this warm color. Yeah, it gives a nice little transition here. I think it works pretty good. A little bit of some red in here. A little more there. So that gives us that nice, even a little bit of some color. Just dabbing that color on there. Let it, there we go. Yeah, I think that works pretty good. And then maybe we can move it around a little bit. There, I like that. So I think drawing or sort of painting with the sponge actually looking pretty good. So it has this nice transition where the spray would be. See that? So that's our spray. That's our background. See this right through here, and then we're gonna let that dry. Actually, we can I think we can do the same thing. Now we're back to the brush, because now we can come in here on the bottom. Let this all be the nice white foamy spray part of the waves. But now we can come in here with a little bit of this green. And let's see if this will work over here on the tray. And we can actually start outlining a little bit of what might be. And we work light. See how light I'm working? See that? So I'm gonna do this. Just a little bit of that. And it almost has this, and it has a sweep to it like this. See this? Put a couple of sweeping lines in here like this. Add a little bit of the dark, a little bit of a dark green up in here. There's even a little bit of purple in there. Just up in the side there a little bit. And for water, you want to make sure there's a lot of white coming through, because that's the actual reflection of the water. Even put a little bit of pick it up just a little bit. There we go. And start with that as our first layer. Again, that's the wave coming over the top this way. So you can even put these lines in that have this little bit of a swoosh to it. This comes out here. And then we're gonna put this dark, so this really nice dark in contrast over here in this corner. Kind of in contrast to dark over here. And this is gonna be a deep sea kind of green. So green and blue. In here like this. A little more, put some yellow in here. There we go. even use our square brush a little bit. By this time, you may want to get some fresh water. I can tell this is a little bit of a dirty water to it. Okay. Let's see. But that's so. I think this starts to work. I'm going to get a little bit more. The green is a little too much like the green you would see in a garden. So we're going to get more of a little more blue to that green. Check some cleaner water here. Oop. Again, you gotta have some clean water to get in there too. If the water gets a little muddy, then your paint's gonna get muddy. See how it starts to, by having just the water itself, the clear water in here. That makes a nice little transition here. Okay. And this sort of comes up in here, and a little bit of blue in this area. Some of that purple. And just a whole lot of transition here. Just put some water down in this corner. Kind of rock it back and forth just a little bit. Just a little bit. Move it back this way. There we go. See, it's kind of going back and forth, up and down, just a little bit. See how that water runs? That's kind of cool, huh? So we're gonna let this do this. And I'm just gonna let it sit. I think that's good. That's a good first. That's a good first one. We got this sort of the sky tone in, really nice and bright yellows in this area, as if it's a morning sky. It gets dark towards the other side of the planet, so to speak, on this side. We've got the start of the breakwater. The water through here is now it's gonna fold over. So we'll put some darker lines behind it. But that's our first phase here. Okay, so good. I think it's a good start. Okay. But again, use a lot of this, worked really well.